Hey everyone, it's Coach Matt over here at Primal Athlete Training Center. We are on Discus video number 3. Now the first video we talked about how to properly select the right discus for you. Video 2 we talked about properly aligning the fingers correctly on that discus to get you the optimal grip and the optimal amount of spin when you let it go. Now we're not outside just yet. So our next couple of videos we're going to be talking about form. We're going to be talking about technique, power position, all that great stuff. Before we get to that, I want to address something that I hear a lot, and it was something that I used to do and I'm guilty of doing all the time. When I was speaking around the country and when I was talking at coaches' clinics and working at camps, I tried to correct myself, but it became a little pet peeve of mine when I was working with other coaches. And that's the terminology that's used when throwing the discus. Now, I'm going to explain this to you. Proper terminology, I think, is key when working with a beginner thrower, especially a beginner discus thrower, to get across to them and to teach them the proper way to move throughout the circle and the proper way to throw the discus. And there are two terms in particular that really kind of get on my nerves, that are really becoming a pet peeve of mine. The first one has to deal with the full discus throw and people calling it a spin. Now, I'm 100% guilty of doing this. I called the full turn, I called the full discus throw a spin for years when I was up on stage talking to coaches. It wasn't until I started working with more athletes when I figured out that calling it a spin was actually a bad thing and it was getting the wrong idea across to these athletes. If you would just walk up to a random person on the street and ask them to spin, what are they going to do? They're going to either spin around on their toe like they're a figure skater, or they're going to jump in the air and spin while they're in the air like a ballet dancer. That's what most people think of when they hear the term spin. So when you have a brand new discus thrower, if you have somebody who's never really seen the event, someone who's not a student of the event, someone who's never done it before, and you tell them to spin, what do you think is going to happen? They're not going to think of it as a drive through that circle. They're not going to think of it as a linear event where you're driving down the middle of the circle. When they hear spin, they're going to think of spinning around in a circle or jumping in the air and turning a 360 while they're going through the circle. So really, you're doing a big disservice to your throwers if you talk about the discus throw as a spin. It's just going to throw them off. When you start to teach them the full throw, when you start to teach them to drive through the circle, it takes a lot longer, and just save yourself the hassle and stop calling it a spin. You can call it the full throw, you call it the full turn, whatever you can make up that does not involve the word spin. It's only going to help your throwers, especially when they're first starting out. Now the second term that I don't like, and one that really negatively impacts the throw for beginners, and really for all throwers, no matter what their skill level, is when coaches talk about having the discus drag behind the body. Whenever I talk to a coach and the coach is talking about the discus coming too far forward, they always tell their kid, let it drag behind you. Let your upper body drag behind you. Let your arm drag behind you. Let that discus drag behind you. Well, when you hear the word drag, you're thinking of moving slowly. If you were dragging something on the ground, it would be moving slowly behind you. If you were playing tug of war and you were dragging the other team, it would be moving very slowly towards you. Nothing about the discus drags. Nothing about the discus is slow. What you should say instead is that your upper body and the discus move fast. Your lower body just moves faster. Stop concentrating on slowing the upper body down, on dragging the upper body, and really accentuate the fact that the lower body has to move a lot faster. Okay, so by improving and just changing those two terms in your coaching vocabulary, what you are going to do is you are going to be telling your athletes the proper way before you show them the proper way. And that makes a huge difference when discus throwers are first starting out. Now guys, remember, subscribe to this video channel. Okay, we put out videos like this 2-3 times a week, and right now we're focusing on the discus. The next couple videos we will be outside. We'll be working on proper release, keeping the thumb down, and all those little faults that I see with beginner throwers and how to properly correct them. Again, if there's anybody in the Rhode Island area that needs extra coaching with their throws, that needs extra help with their strength training sessions, that's what I'm here for, and that's what this gym is for. Please look us up online. It's www.primalatc.com, or you can email me. My email address will be right at the end